I took this incredible trip to New York City recently, so I wanted to make this video about something that I saw there. And obviously, this is not much that they teach you in school. I didn't know about this actually. I haven't been to New York City in 25 years, but as you see behind me in the background there's the church called the St. Paul's Chapel. And the significance of it is it's an actual church that George Washington's been to numerous times. It says it's just a few blocks north of Trinity Church. It's actually owned by Trinity Church. It's only a few blocks away from Wall Street, and the actual church itself is directly behind where the World Trade Centers were that got destroyed in 9/11. It says that this church is someplace that George Washington went to after his inauguration in 1789. He said he went there to pray. And I'm going to show you a couple pictures I have inside the church when I went in there. It says that George Washington regularly attended services here while New York City was the U.S. capital. Imagine that. So there's great significance. Anybody that wants to take a trip there, you can go across the Brooklyn Bridge. You can see Wall Street. You can see these churches. You can see the World Trade Centers that got destroyed. You can also see the new one that got built in its place. There's tons of stuff to do there. And check out some of these videos that I have here to show you more information. That's St. Paul's Chapel right there. And it is literally like 2 blocks away from the World Trade Centers that went down. There's the memorial for the 2 World Trade Centers that went down. And then here is the new One World Trade Center that went up in its place. The significance of this church, this is where a whole bunch of things went on after 9/11. And it's also directly located a couple blocks away from Trinity Church, which is another dramatic church. I'm going to show you both of them here on this video. But St. Paul's Chapel is the church that George Washington and a number of other founding fathers of America went into, which is quite interesting. So here's the bell that was in the back of St. Paul's Chapel. And if you can see behind the bell, that's actually the One World Trade Center. So when I showed you the aerial, you can see how close this is. And this Bell of Hope was given to us by the Lord Mayor of London at the time in 2002. You can stop and pause it and read the whole thing if you want. But that's incredible that that's there. And there's some even more dramatic things to show you. St. Paul's Chapel opened in 1766 to house the growing congregation of nearby Trinity Church, which I'm going to show you here at the end of this video. Trinity Church actually owns St. Paul's Chapel. But the real significance of it was that George Washington was actually in this church before. I never heard that until I went to New York. Tablet erected in commemoration of centennial anniversary services of the death of His Excellency General George Washington. You can pause it and read the whole thing if you want. And then inside the church, they actually have this, and this was not the real sign at first of the Great Seal. The face is different on there. Probably doesn't show as good as it would show you on the, if you were there in person. But here's what it says, and you can stop it and read it if you want. But the painting of the Great Seal. That's significant to be that close to the World Trade Centers that went down and what's going on up there in New York. You never really hear much about this on the news. There's a little bit better angle of that. And that's how close it is. There's the new One World Trade Center right behind it. And you saw from the aerial the other one. Here's a couple pictures that are even better of the St. Paul's Chapel. This is the backside there. That's the bell that I took a picture of. That's the inside of the church. And then here's another picture inside of the church as well. And then over here is the picture I showed you where they designated it to George Washington. So this is interesting. I was right there in front of Wall Street, which is wild. And just another block away you can look, and there's the Trinity Church. That's the owner of the St. Paul's Chapel that I showed you that George Washington was in. And you can literally see all this right there from Wall Street to the One World Trade Center. Everything's close. Here's the front of the Wall Street New York Stock Exchange. There's me in front of it. Incredible. Great history to go check out. Just took a tour inside the Trinity Church. It's just behind Wall Street, not far from the World Trade Center. Pretty epic. I'm standing here on the side of this Trinity Church